In the quiet village of Umokwe, nestled between rolling hills and thick forest, a child was born under a full moon. His birth should have been a moment of celebration, but instead it became a source of shame for his parents. The baby, Odigbo, was born with an unusually large head, and his features were not what they had hoped for. To his parents, he was not the beautiful child they dreamed of. They whispered queer words about him, calling him a curse and a burden. His mother, shamed by village gossip and afraid of ridicule, handed him over to her own mother, the only woman brave enough to look past the child's appearance. Manneka, a strong, kind-hearted widow, received the child with open arms and a full heart. "My daughter may be ashamed, but I see a blessing," she whispered the first night she held him. "You will grow, my child, and your name will mean something someday." Odigbo grew up under her loving care. Mama Nneka didn't have much, but she gave everything she had. She taught him how to farm, how to read the sky, and how to speak wisdom even in silence. Her heart was small, but it held more warmth than any palace. She never allowed him to see himself as different or broken. When the villagers mocked him, she held his hand tighter and walked him proudly through the market. Still, life was not easy. Children laughed and called him names. Big head, coconut head, ogre, they shouted as he walked past sometimes. Even adults would shake their heads in pity or mutter prayers as if he were an omen. But Odigbo never bowed his head in shame. He always remembered his grandmother's words. They see your head, but they don't see your heart. At night, Odigbo would cry silently, but in the morning he rose with determination. He read every book he could find, often borrowing tattered novels and textbooks from the local teacher, Mr. Ikene. His thirst for knowledge was unmatched, and he began to dream of building things: houses, bridges, roads. "I want to become an engineer, Mama," he told her one evening as they sat by the fire roasting maize. "Then you will be," she said simply. "The world may look down on you now, but one day they will look up to the buildings you create." Mama Nneka worked tirelessly to pay his school fees. She sold firewood, hand-woven baskets, and palm oil just to keep him in school. But fate, as always, had its way. When Odigbo was in his final year of secondary school, Mama Nneka fell ill. Her body, once strong and resilient, began to weaken. One night, after a long struggle, she passed away in her sleep. Her death broke Odigbo. He had lost the only person who ever truly believed in him. For days he did not eat. He stayed in her room, holding the old wrapper she used to cover him as a baby. But slowly her words returned to him. "Rise, Odigbo. The world is still waiting for what you will become." He pushed forward. He finished school, and despite having no money, applied to a federal university. He was accepted into the civil engineering program, but getting through university was a battle. He washed cars, sold sachet water, and tutored other students just to survive. At times, he slept on classroom benches. Many nights, hunger gnawed at his belly like a rat in a granary, but he never gave up. Years later, Odigbo graduated with honors. He was among the top students in his department. His story began to attract attention, first from his lecturers, then from a local newspaper. Eventually, he earned a scholarship for postgraduate studies abroad, and after years of sweat and suffering, he returned to Nigeria, a certified civil engineer, now a grown man with confidence and a warm smile. Odigbo stood tall, not only in height but in achievement. He started a construction firm with a focus on building infrastructure in rural communities. His first major project was in Umokwe, the same village that once mocked him. He built a school, a clinic, and a clean water system. As he stood at the ribbon cutting ceremony, The villagers, now much older, looked at him with awe. The same mouth that once mocked him now praised his name. "Na dat boy wey get big head," they whispered in disbelief. "Yes," another answered proudly. "Odigbo the engineer, Odigbo the great." After the ceremony, he walked to the small hill where his grandmother was buried. He knelt by her grave, tears rolling down his cheeks. "Mama, I did it. Your boy did it." The wind whispered through the trees, as if the earth itself was clapping. Years later, Odigbo would go on to build bridges across rivers, highways through forests, and hope in hearts of countless children who were once told they didn't belong. He created a foundation in Mama Nneka's name, offering scholarships to orphans and children with disabilities. Whenever people asked him about the source of his strength, he would smile and say, "It all began with love, the kind that sees beyond the head and into the heart." Odigbo's story reminds us that pain can plant the seeds of greatness if we choose to rise. At what point in your life were you mocked like Odigbo, but you came out stronger, better, greater? Drop your story in the comments, not for attention, but to inspire someone else who might be going through their own struggle right now. Let's fill the comment section with hope, resilience, and a real life transformations. And if this story moved you, hit that button, share it with someone who needs it, and don't forget to subscribe for more real stories that uplift the heart. Until next time, remember, what makes you different might just be your greatest gift.